All right. Now for our demo tonight, supposedly we are going to do something involving Firebase. Okay, so we are supposed to um, operate something in our cloud-based database, but due to some technical issues, we have resulted to this setup instead. Right? So as you can see, we have our Mac data set um, imported in Google Sheets. Okay, I am going to share this data sheet, or I mean this spreadsheet to you, and I'm going to share by the link a link in the comment section, and then also this data set is connected to our Google Colab using some codes. Right? So let me zoom in for, okay, I guess this is it. Right. So this is our, we have a Google Colab notebook, which actually we had a very brief introduction to Google Colab last time. So just in case it's your first time to encounter Google Colab, just type in Google um, or you can simply type Google Colab. And okay, you'll see in the results, we have this one. I just go to this one. That is right. That is collab.research.google.com. Okay, so this is somewhat like a virtual or a cloud-based IDE, and we can do a lot actually. Especially this is um, coding in terms of Python language. So as you all know, Python is a very useful and user-friendly language, and a good starting point for those who want to study data analytics, right? So if you are going to create a new notebook, just click this one, or if you have an existing one, then you can just select it, right? So right now I'm already had opened my notebook, so I just cancel this one. All right. Okay, so I'll go back to this one, to our existing notebook, which I already designed, so we can go smoothly throughout this demo. Okay, so as you all know, we can add two things here in our notebook. So this is our notebook. Either we want to add a code or a basic text or a simple text. Okay, non-executable text. So this one is a text, and you can beautify it using some syntax, right? So, but that's not so important right now. For tonight, what we need is to understand the flow of the Six Sigma DMAIC methodology approach, right? Especially using the data that we have, we try to solve a certain problem. Okay, and the our data set is something about the ICT operations, and we want to optimize it based on our given data set. Okay, we have identified a certain problem. Okay, and that is because we want to have this, or we want to achieve this goal. Okay, which is to reduce the mean time to repair, or MTTR, and as well as the system downtime. So looking at the data set, all right, so we have here the resolution time, or the MTTR, right? And then the downtime. So we want, as you can see, we have some of them are 45 minutes, some are as big as 310 minutes. So that is around 5 hours. Okay. So for a certain problem, this one, um, a problem regarding cloud storage handled by this engineer, and it was resolved after 310 minutes. Okay, so that's quite um, too long. Okay, and it has been identified the problem was something related to API outage. Right. So because of this, the system had experienced 240-minute downtime. Okay. So that is of course something very technical to to some of you. But what we want to emphasize right now is the flow. Okay. So as mentioned in our discussion earlier, the Six Sigma approach makes use of the DMAIC methodology, okay, which starts with letter D, define. So we define our problem by expressing it in terms of our goal or goals, and then our formally we express that in a statement, problem statement. Okay, so formally we can say that the current operations are experiencing inconsistent resolution times, leading to breached SLAs and decreased organizational productivity. So SLA is actually service level agreement. And of course, let's try to edit it. Service level agreement. Agreement. So it is something being agreed between two parties, like the supplier and the vendor and the customer. So in this case, I believe the target is 60 minutes. Okay. So that means the company, this organization should be able to resolve any given problem within a 60-minute time frame. Okay. However, if you look at our table, there are so many times that the problem was solved in less than 60 minutes, but there are some that are not just above 60 minutes, but way above 60 minutes. Okay. So now, this problem statement alone is not um, clear for our audience, especially to those who you discuss this this project with, right? So they cannot appreciate it by mere problem statement only. So with the help of Python programming, you can actually present your data using the Pandas library, IO library, and even Google Colab if you do it via Colab. Here, if I run this, if I click this button, I will be asked to upload my file just like last time. And then once I have uploaded the right file, it will generate this summary table. Okay, so based on this table, yes, we have indeed some, okay, I believe this is the average. Okay, so the data set has been summarized in terms of the engineer assigned. So, for example, this engineer, this fictional engineer, has an average of 45 minutes. This one has an average of 120 minutes. That's 130 minutes, 180, and 10. Okay, so this is just an overview, and this alone cannot tell more detailed story. Okay? That's why we go to the measure phase. But before we go to that, I just would like to introduce this one. Okay? Because of this code, we Google Colab has inserted this part wherein we are given the chance or the option to generate the code with DF, or we can use a new interactive sheet. So when I click this one and I connected the imported data set, we have come up with a built-in um, interactive sheet within our Google Colab notebook. So this is our data set. Okay, we can actually embed our data set our Google Sheet data set within our notebook. Okay, so if you want so that we no longer have to switch between tabs. Okay, if you want to have it this way, then you can try the new interactive sheet. Okay, so by the way, in addition to the problem statement, in the define phase, we can actually support that by providing the SIPOC diagram. SIPOC stands for Supplier Input Process Output Customer. So, in this specific scenario, we have three processes involved. The triage process, or the assigning of our severity and assigned engineer, um, meaning we are creating a ticket plug, okay, based on the alerts that we get from our vendors or from our ISPs. Okay. And once we have the alert, we create a ticket, we assign whether it's low, medium, high. No, I mean low, high. Yes, we have medium and high. Low, low, medium, high, critical, right? And we can assign it to the engineer in charge, right? So that's the triage process. Okay, we are assigning things so that we can create a ticket log. And the problem is, if we don't do this carefully, our tickets may end up in the wrong hands, which may lead to additional waiting time. Okay, so we don't want that. And in this process alone, we can actually do a lot of improvement already. Okay, so we are suspecting that triage part could be something that we have to improve, right? So triage is the immediate sorting and prioritization of incoming issues. Whereas the second process, we have the diagnosis. Okay, this is where we investigate. Okay, so it is the technical deep dive where an engineer identifies why the system is failing. So in other words, we are conducting root cause analysis here. And diagnosis, most like in this data set, the engineer would fill out here the root cause. Okay. And then once the diagnosis has been done, then the repair process takes place. So once repaired, then the engineer will tag it as resolved. Okay. So in this case, our entire data set has, or all our tickets have been resolved already. Okay. So, okay, I'm not sure why my cursor is okay. Anyway, repair, that's the action, the actual execution of the fix, such as replacing the hardware, patching the software, or rerouting the traffic. And in addition to that, we can also specify our CTQ, or critical to quality requirements, meaning just in case this problem statement alone is not clear enough for our audience, here we emphasize what do we really need to happen. Okay, what do we want to happen in this problem solving initiative? Okay, so we want, in terms of urgency, we really want to improve our processes so that all of our resolution time will be less than 60 minutes, which is required in our SLA in this case. Okay, so our SLA in this example says the resolution, the issue should be resolved within 60 minutes. Okay, at the same time, we also want zero repeat incidents for the same asset ID within 48 hours. For the same, so these are our assets, and we don't want repetition of issues within 48 hours, because that would indicate that the problem was not really resolved. Okay, or maybe we just did some band-aid solution to that and not really the ultimate solution. Okay, so that's regarding stability. because we don't want any recurring issues to the same specific asset. And next, we have the communication. We want status updates every 30 minutes for high severity. Okay, so these are the things that we want to achieve. That's why we are conducting the DMAIC methodology. Okay, so we now support our problem statement, or somewhat like saying um, what makes us so sure that our problem statement is correct, or should we say that problem really exists, and we are heading to the right direction if we do this DMAIC approach. Okay, so in the measure phase, our goal is to establish reliable baseline for the current ICT operations process, and we focus on two primary data points: that downtime concentration using the Pareto chart, wherein what we will do is to identify which 20% of assets cause 80% of our service interruptions. So the 20% of our assets are actually something that we have to focus on. Okay. And meaning if whatever we identify as the 20%, that should be the subject to our improvement. Okay. Maybe we upgrade to another better equipment, or maybe we add some plugins or any boost to our system. Okay, so so that we can get rid, or almost get rid of 80% of our service interruptions. Okay. Now, the other focus is the primary or the process distribution. So using the histogram, we want to visualize how spread our resolution times is against our 60-minute SLA. Okay, so using this this Python code, we can actually generate, let me clear this. Okay, we can now actually generate our Pareto chart. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to give you a copy of this notebook in the comment section. So if we run this one, okay, so we have our data set has come up with this Pareto chart. So 20% could be around here, okay? So 20% or one-fifth of the entire chart. So one-fifth is around here. So from fiber link to core router, I guess. Okay, so that's 20%. And these are the assets that we should watch out for. Okay, so these are the assets that we should closely monitor, and of course, we should investigate. Maybe there's some of these are quite outdated, or they lack maintenance, they lack some upgrades. Okay. So here, using this Pareto chart, um, we can now reveal the vital few versus the useful many. So the observation here is from the FiberLink database server and the virtual server issues account for vast majority. So the 20% is covered by these three. Okay. Most especially the FiberLink. Right? So the issues on these assets account for the vast majority of our total downtime. Okay, so that's why we pay attention to them, right? In terms of operational insight, to reach our goal of reducing downtime by 43%, we should prioritize these three assets: improving the repair process for workstations or access points will have negligible impact on overall uptime matrix. So as you can see, these last three assets have nothing really wrong with them. Okay, there's nothing really wrong with them. there's no downtime associated with them. That's why we can no need to give emphasis on them as for the moment. Okay. On the other hand, the histogram that we okay, let me clear this one. Right. So we have this plot, okay, and when we run this code, we generate our histogram, using the matplotlib library, by the way, of Python. So this is our histogram distribution of our downtimes. Okay, so here we have in terms of minutes, majority of our resolution time are in around here. So yes, we've met below 60. Many are below 60. Okay, but there are several times that we exceed a little bit um, above 20. Sometimes we reach 100 plus. Okay, and seldom we even reach 300, 400, or even 500 minutes plus of resolution time. And that's a problem. What we want is all of our resolution times to be just before this red line. So we should have this a curve right here. Okay, on the left side of this. We don't want, as much as possible, nothing exceeds this line. Okay, so that's what really we really want. Now, if we show this to our stakeholders, our executives, or even to our customers, they can now better understand what we really want to achieve. Okay, what's really the problem? So here it really shows, yes, the problem is here. Because our SLA says it should be 60 minutes, and as shown here, we have a lot of times that we have exceeded um this limit. Okay, so the histogram reveals a long tail distribution. And specifically, it shows that in terms of the SLA breach rate, a significant portion of the data falls to the right of 60 minute, okay, falls to the right, indicating frequent SLA violations, okay, more often around um, 100 minutes, and seldom above 200, 300, and 400 minutes, right? Also, it shows our inconsistency. So the widespread or the variation from here up to here, we have varied a lot. It suggests that our engineering response is not standardized. Okay, so there must be something wrong with how the issues are being resolved. Um, some high severity tickets are fixed within 20 minutes only, while others take over 150 minutes, for example. Okay, so high severity, but how come it was resolved for in just 20 minutes only? Okay, so that's something suspicious, right? So we have to investigate that in the next phase. Um, Third is the Six Sigma approach. Our objective in the next phases will be to shift the mean. Okay, this one, our mean should be below or before this red line. Okay, so if we take the mean of um, these observations, these measurements, if we take their mean, that mean should fall on the left side of this red line. Okay, it should be below 60 minutes. And of course, we want to squeeze the variation as much as possible. They will not be this much scattered, right? We want them to be concentrated right here in this area. Okay, they are not scattered. So we just want them to be around here. Okay. Um, Next, we go to analyze phase. All right. So we can make use of some statistical approach. After, of course, since we already have let's say the engineers have already conducted the root causes, the possible root cause of the issues assigned to them. So no need to do the fishbone or Ikigawa diagram, we can now proceed with the statistical approach. Okay, we can perform tests like chi-square, correlation, regression, and ANOVA. Okay, chi-square is used to determine if there is a significant relationship between our categorical variables such as severity and status. Okay, meaning if this is our data set, we have the severity. We want to see is it um is it true, for example, that high severity means unresolved or low severity means they are resolved, right? So we can test that. And however, since all of our data have only resolved items, then it clearly shows that that there is no um severity and status are independent. So we cannot really perform more a quite reliable chi-square test. Okay, but let me share to you the results that we have gathered. I just let's just interpret this very briefly. So we have our chi-square statistic, and zero means it is right exactly at the mean. So it does not deviate from the mean. Okay? Because the farther it deviates from the mean, the more likely we reject our null hypothesis that there is no dependency or relationship between our severity and status variables. Okay. Another way to look at it is the p-value. So by default, we are in statistical tests, we use zero point zero 0.05 significance level. So we compare it with the generated p-value. So if the p-value is higher than zero point zero 0.05, then we reject that null hypothesis. So in short, we accept the alternative hypothesis that the severity and status are independent. Okay, so that's a brief statistical approach. So that's why we don't settle with chi-square test only, okay? Because in this case we don't have enough data, right? Because what we got is a data set wherein the engineers have already tagged the items as resolved. So we cannot investigate further on this part. That's why we proceed with the other one. We have the correlation heat map, and regression. We use this to understand the relationship between resolution effort and actual system downtime. So because does can we it's like we are asking does does higher resolution time mean higher downtime, system downtime, meaning the longer it takes to resolve the issue, the long uh um does it mean the longer the system to remain down? Okay, so that's the question that we want to answer. Okay, so is there really a relationship between these two variables? So with that, we use heat map, okay, um, which we don't really need. We just need to get the Pearson coefficient actually. So because we only have two variables, so this is quite redundant. Um, we just we only have one pair. So as you can see, there's a duplication. Okay, downtime and resolution. So, um, as you can see, the Pearson's R coefficient between these two variables is 0.91. It's actually and very high or very close to positive one, our coefficient only means that we can say that when our resolution time is high, we can expect high downtime as well. Okay, or in most cases, these two are highly proportional or directly proportional to each other. Okay, directly proportional to each other. So we can support that claim further through our regression plot or our scatter plot here, wherein we from these plots we generate our regression line, this one. Okay, so as you can see, the dots are very close most of the time to this red line, okay, to our regression line. With that said, it will be safe for us to estimate whenever we have a certain resolution time. For example, our resolution time is 200. As you can see, 200, we can expect that the downtime is around just above 100 minutes. Okay? Although in the actual data set, it is almost around 80 only. Okay? So, but at least we can have a safe assumption with the help of this regression line. But if we have much higher than 0.91, meaning closer to 1, if we have 0.99 something or 0.98 something, you will see that the dots are much closer to this straight line. Okay, so that will give us more confidence when we are trying to predict our system downtime based on the given resolution time. Okay, in short, these two have very high relationship with each other. Okay, so that's regarding regression plot. Okay, so in terms of ANOVA, we are going to do ANOVA because we want to identify if specific engineers or assets represent statistically different performance groups. Okay. We want to investigate is it because of the engineer or is it because of the asset? Okay. So now with the help of a box plot, we now need to study how ANOVA actually works or how to interpret ANOVA results. Okay, the backsplat could actually help us get an idea of what the ANOVA results is all about. Okay, so here we have the interpretation here. Um, in that visualization, it has been revealed that the the performance is not uniform. So, for example, while Sarah Chen and Marcus Vane maintain relatively tight distributions with lower medians, David Kim has a much higher median resolution and a wider spread. So let's go in this visualization. So Sarah Chen and Marcus Vane have very much close, very high, for especially Marcus Vane, as you can see. Majority of his resolution times are below 100, or the median is maybe just below 60. Okay, but there are times he exceeds 100. There's a few times. Okay, but at the same time he is able to manage some of the issues very quickly as well. Right? So same thing with Searchan. As you can see, the narrower the box or the shorter the box, the closer the distribution is. Okay? So, or in other words, the more consistent that engineer is when it comes to resolving issues. Okay? So these two are more consistent compared to the other two. Um, among the four, David Kim has the highest variation in how he resolves some items. So there must be something wrong with David Kim. Like maybe he is assigned with something that he is not capable of. Or maybe there are issues that are supposedly his, but due to wrong ticketing, wrong assignment, he received the ticket late enough. Okay, or there are some things that prevented him to resolve the issues immediately. Okay, so we have to investigate these issues, okay, or these factors that affect David Kim's performance in terms of resolution time. Okay, so that it doesn't mean that David Kim is not a good engineer or a competent engineer. Maybe there are factors that are affecting him. Okay, so we have to investigate those factors, right? Now, in terms of resolution time, it's very obvious that this one, FiberLink, has the highest median, and at the same time, among all these assets, it has the highest deviation. So from here, it's Q1 is here, it's Q2 or the median is here, and it's Q1 is here, it's Q2 is here or the median, and Q3 is here. Okay, so it has a very high IQR compared to the others. Okay, so we can also say that assets like VoIP gateway, access point, and even UPS systems are or workstation are something predictable. We can predict that issues regarding them can be resolved in less than 60 minutes or at least less than 100 minutes, okay, in terms of UPS. Okay, so um, specifically, these three, we have workstation, access point, gateway. We are confident to say that if the issues are within this, are concerning these assets, then we can say it's safe to say that they can be resolved in less than 60 minutes, as shown in our table or in our data set. Okay, so with that, we can say that the bottleneck is on the fiber link, right? So we have to do something regarding our fiber link, okay? And fiber link is a massive outlier with the highest median resolution time. Okay, it has even reached 360 minutes to be for before it has been resolved. And the largest variance in the entire data set. So something to do with stability. So there are times that the fiber link is resolved quickly. There are times that it has been resolved very, very slowly. Okay. So in addition to that, database server also shows consistently high resolution times compared to simpler assets like VoIP gateways. So let's check. Database server, this one. All right. So next to FiberLink is this one. So this is something we have to watch out also. And if we go back to our Pareto chart, you'll see that our analysis up to this point is consistent. So FiberLink and then database server. Okay. So FiberLink, database server, virtual server. Okay. So these three assets have to be monitored and investigated. Okay, let's see virtual server. Okay, the virtual server is here. Virtual server. Okay, the virtual server looks fine. Although if you notice, it's still there are many issues have been resolved in more than the SLA minimum time of 60 minutes. Okay, so you can see it's around more than 60 minutes. So virtual server is also uh, suspect, okay, regarding the bottleneck in our resolution times. Okay, so fiber link issues are our critical path for improvement. So our biggest effort should be put in the fiber link asset. Okay, because the median is so far above 60 and we must investigate it, right? Um, so we want to standardize our assets like workstations, meaning these are highly standardized and predictable, so we don't touch them. Right? No need to change about them um, in the up as of this point, right? A risk area, the wide whiskers on virtual servers and switch stacks indicate special cost variation, meaning they can be unpredictable events that occasionally cause resolution times of 200 minutes, directly threatening our monthly SLA targets, which is again 60 minutes. So with these results in our analysis, we make use of a simulation tool called Monte Carlo to check what will happen if we change things in this aspect and in another aspect. Okay, so we have the simulation, our data set connected to our simulation uh, tool built in here. So using this code, we came up with a simulation tool, this one. This is our Monte Carlo simulation tool. For example, if we, this is what we want to happen. Okay, so the current configuration already shows the ideal thing to happen. Okay, as you can see, our mean is around here. So it's far enough from the target of 60 minutes. So the mean is around, let's say, about 25 or 30. So wouldn't it be nice if we can resolve the issues in just 30 minutes? Okay, average. So that's something ideal, right? So also, as you can see here, the variation is not that much. Originally, we have this variation from here we up to here. We have our resolution time is all over. Okay, it's all over the place. Between from 0 up to 250. We didn't even include the 300 and 400 plus resolution times here. Okay, so what we want is again is our mean to be on the left side of this red line, which is our 60-minute SLA target. And and the variation is not much. Okay. It's just very narrow. Okay. But this again, this is ideal. We have these parameters, the base tech speed, meaning we want to upgrade our system, especially the fiber link, the what are the three things? Uh, Fiber link, the database server, and the virtual server, or even the switch stack. Um, we can check if we can improve them, increase them by 80%. Okay? If we can do that, then much better. But if not, then maybe we can reduce our target by, let's say, all right. So actually, if we go to higher speeds, as you can see, there is a risk because if we go to higher if we go to much higher speeds, that would mean larger manpower or higher level of engineers that must take care of this equipment. Okay. There's an equation that tells us that the faster your equipment are, the more engineers or the more operators you need for your operations. Okay. In this case, our staffing level, we limit just three times of the existing one. Okay. So we set here, ideally, we maximize, we times three, or we triple our engineers. That means if we have, originally we have four engineers, what if we increase our engineers? Okay, we have 12. Okay, we divide their shifts into three. Okay, for example. Okay, or we create a team. For example, if we have four shifts, we create a team of three instead of just one person doing everything. Okay, so at the same time, we have the base variation. So what if we improve our consistency? So we can do that by improving our standard operating procedures. Okay, we improvise, or I mean, we implement stricter protocols, stricter um, instructions on how we do things, okay, or on how engineers do things. And based on our analysis earlier, the assignment of our critical, or I mean, on the very first part here, okay, in our SIPOC diagram, that triage, okay, or the ticket log, is something that we can take a look at. Okay, so because what if many of the variations are caused by this one? Okay, so meaning if we increase our triage, or our focus on assigning or creating tickets. Okay. Uh, Here, if we increase that, if we maximize that by 50%, then we can achieve better results. But if we minimize that, you'll see we have higher variation as well. Okay. So more variation. Okay. So this is for the other operating procedures. Okay. As you can see, if we don't do something about it, there will be more variations. So we want to minimize them, let's say by 20. Okay, so 20. All right. So as you can see, there are times that we still exceed the 60-minute target. Okay, so we can minimize it further depending on our what efforts do we do. Like we train our engineers, we 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 pursue consistent maintenance, and we add processes that can further improve the resolution times, like making use of AI tools and so on. Okay, so we look for solutions that will improve the variation. So that's regarding this. And this is further improved by giving enough focus on the triage. So this is too much. This is unrealistic already. So in reality, we can only have around this much. All right, 25. Okay. So we can um give maximum effort on the triage. We increase it by 50%. We improve it by 50%. At the same time, if we can do a lower base variation, then the better. Okay. But of course, the higher, the more unrealistic it is. Okay. So for example, if we hired three staffs, or if we triple our engineers, our number of engineers, then and we improve our triage focus by 50%, and assuming we can limit our variations by 25%, and increase our speed by 80%, then more likely we can achieve this ideal result. Right, this is ideal already because we are so far away. Our mean is so far away from the limit. Okay, our SLA target. Right, so this is the ideal scenario. From here, this one up to this one. Okay, so that is what Six Sigma is all about. We want to improve our process so that we can have less defects. So anything that goes beyond here will be considered as defects. Okay, everything that goes beyond 60 minute of resolution time is already a defect. Okay. Now, assuming we have implemented our initiatives to achieve this new configuration. So we do something. We can make use of a new system like an AI-based tool, or we can triple our staff, train them so that we can have less variations, and train them so that we can have better triage focus. Now we can observe. We implement and then observe what happens. Okay. Um, okay, pardon for that. I think someone did some fireworks in the neighborhood. Right. So now we have well, we are on the last phase, the control phase. Objective is to sustain the gains achieved during the improve phase. So assuming we have achieved this improvement, okay. So now, after implementing it, we just need to sustain, okay, maintain it, using the SPC, statistical process control, wherein we monitor the process mean, the actual mean, and then we base it on the upper and lower control limits and our target, SLA target. So if we have this code, we can generate this plot below. All right. So this is a control chart, specifically a statistical control chart, um, statistical process control chart, SPC chart. So this is our mean, the green one, right? The new process mean the actual that we have right now. So assuming we have improved here, this is our current. What we do is what we currently do is something that has this improvement. Okay, 75% in terms of speed, 27. So this is our current status. Okay, so now we just monitor it and check whether it has exceeded the mean, the mean of our actual operations has exceeded our limit. And if we are still within our upper and lower control limits. So we have our control limits, and then we have this target that we want. The mean should be below here, and all the points should be within these limits. Okay, the blue ones should be within the red lines, between the red lines, while the green line should be below this dotted line. All right. So if I let's say for some reason we had some variations. Okay, like we have, unfortunately we have 50 variation. So as you can see, some of our data points have already exceeded our lower control limit with the red line. So as you can see, we have marginal. The average still meets the SLA, this one, the green, still below the dotted line, but there are some variations that have exceeded the red line. Okay, so it's a warning, and we have to do something like, for example, we increase the do something. We can be stricter. Maybe someone violated the protocols or the new policies that we have imposed. So if we have, for example, we did stricter measures, then we have improved the variations, for example, and you can see right there. So for example, we have improved our variation to 30, then as you can see, we are still we still have high variation because this is still close to the limit. So it's still a warning. Okay? That means it's not enough. We have to improve it further, do something. Okay, do something. Right. So for example, we did something and it resulted to around 25 variation. Now here still, okay, not enough. Right. So we minimize it further to 15. Let's say 16. No. I'll just type here. Let's just have 10. Okay. So 10, as you can see, not yet. Still not yet. Um, what if we have staffing? Okay, we double our staff. Okay, so doubling the staff doesn't improve or solve the issue. So we can just have 1.5. So for example, if we have existing of 4 engineers and we multiply by 1.5, so we add 2 only. So as you can see, the green line is below, but the variation is still there. So maybe we can decrease the tech. Okay, let's see if this helps. Okay, not still here. And as you can see, we only have 20% dredge. So we go back to 50% and it solves the problem. Okay, process is fully capable, even 3 sigma outliers meet the SLA. So um, positive 3 sigma away from the mean, negative 3 sigma below from the mean. Okay, or below the mean. This one is 3 sigma above the mean, 3 sigmas below the mean. Okay, the green line. Right? So now we have a better result here. Even if we have higher variation, for example, 20%, let's see. Oh, 20% is no longer allowed. So 15, like 15, right? 15 is still not okay. So we decrease the base tech to 50. Let's see. Okay, it's okay. Even if we have 15% variation, if we just minimize our base tech, because just remember, the more complicated or sophisticated your your technology is, the more likely it will be difficult for the engineers to maintain it. Okay, especially if you've employed a lot of additional equipment, right? So it becomes additional burden to the engineers, resulting to higher variation in their results, right? So now, final conclusion, we have if we have these configurations, we make these efforts, we can eliminate long tail, the variation. Okay, so we can significantly improve our variation, meaning we no longer have 400 minute outliers or even 500 minute outliers. Okay. Also, we can have a strategic resource allocation. We have proven that 1.5 is okay na. If we combine it with triage discipline. Okay. As you have seen earlier that increasing it by 50%, we can now we can actually have smaller variations. Okay. We can reach the Six Sigma standard. Right? Okay, aside from the technology, boosting the technology, but not too much, we in our simulation earlier, we limit up to 80% of boosting. Um, but in the actual, we just need 50. Okay, so um, also with this code, we can actually, using Python, we can actually do better than just static report like this, right? As if you have noticed, we can actually dynamically set these parameters or variables, so we can see we can have a better view of what should be done. Okay, what could be the effect of um, doing some improvements in this variable, in this one, or this one. Okay, so we can see the what could be the effect of a combination of any configurations that we have here. Okay, so right, and I guess that would be all. We're going to provide this one, and it's best if you can observe, go through this entire notebook, observe the codes, observe the charts, and so on. Okay, so thank you very much.